I stood there, soaked to the bone. My fists clenched so tight my nails drew blood from my palms, as the officer slapped cuffs on Ezra's wrists and dragged him toward the back of the cruiser. "Grayson, I swear it wasn't like that," he choked out, his voice breaking over the storm's roar. But his eyes, those damn hazel eyes that had once looked at me like I was his whole world, darted away, guilty as sin. In that split second, every wall I'd built around my heart crumbled, and I realized the brother I'd saved from the streets had just sold my soul for a fix. It started 3 years earlier, back when I was 17 and the word faggot was still fresh graffiti on my locker at Lincoln High in rural Ohio. I'd known I was gay since I was 12, stealing glances at the quarterback in gym class while the other boys catcalled girls. But coming out, that was a pipe dream in a town where Sunday sermons preached fire and brimstone, and the closest pride flag was a rumor from Cleveland. My mom, God rest her, had died giving birth to me. Complications, they said, and Dad buried his grief in Jack Daniels and a string of waitresses who never stuck around. He didn't notice much, least of all his son's secrets. The bullying hit like a freight train junior year. It was Tommy Hargrove, star of the wrestling team, who cornered me after algebra. I'd accidentally brushed his arm in the hall, and that was enough. "You think you can touch me, queer?" he snarled, shoving me into the boys' bathroom. By lunch, the whole school knew. Texts flew. Pics of me photoshopped into rainbow flags, whispers turning to shouts in the cafeteria. Freak. Pervert. I tried to laugh it off, but inside, it was acid eating away at my guts. Dad found out that night when the principal called. He didn't yell, just stared at me across the dinner table, fork midway to his mouth, like I'd confessed to murder. "This ain't how we raised you, boy," he muttered, then stood up and walked out, door slamming like a guillotine. School became a war zone, lockers jammed with hate notes, sneakers tripping me in the halls. I ate lunch in the library, buried in books about far-off places, New York, San Francisco, where guys like me could breathe without apology. The rejection spread like kudzu. Friends ghosted, teachers averted eyes, and Dad? He moved his lazy boy to the garage, sleeping there with his bottles, as if my queerness was contagious. I was invisible, a ghost in my own life, counting days till graduation like a prisoner scratching walls. That's when Ezra entered the picture, a half-remembered shadow from Family Whispers. Mom's affair with a trucker from Toledo had left behind a bastard son. Ezra, 2 years my junior, raised by a string of foster homes after his mom OD'd on pills. Dad had mentioned him once, drunk and maudlin. That boy's trouble, Gray. Blood don't mean shit. But blood was all I had left. I tracked him down on Facebook after a late-night spiral, scrolling through profiles till I found him. 17, smirking in a hoodie under a basketball hoop, tagged in posts from juvie dropouts. Our messages started awkward. "Hey, I'm Grayson. Think we're related," but bloomed into late-night confessions. He was tough, street-smart, with a laugh that cut through my loneliness like sunlight. When Dad kicked me out on my 18th birthday, graduation cap still smelling of mortarboard dust, he did it with a cardboard box of my clothes dumped on the porch. "Figure it out, son. This house ain't got room for that." Rain poured that night too, but no cops, no drama. Just me, hitching to the bus station with $20 and a backpack. Ezra's DM lit up my cracked phone screen as I waited for the Greyhound to Cleveland. "Crash at my spot. Bro got a couch and bad pizza." His spot was a sagging duplex in Lakewood, a working-class enclave west of Cleveland, where the lake wind carried the tang of steel mills and fried perch from corner bars. He buzzed me in at 2 a.m., all lanky limbs and wary grin, smelling of cheap weed and Axe body spray. We were strangers thrown together by fate's cruel dice. But damn if it didn't feel like kismet. Ezra was everything I wasn't. Bold, unapologetic, with tattoos snaking up his forearms from foster scars. Dragons and roses inked in basement parlors. He worked odd jobs, stocking shelves at the Giant Eagle, bouncing at a dive called O'Malley's, while I scraped by on community college classes and barista shifts at a hipster cafe in Ohio City. Our first week, we bonded over microwave burritos and bootleg Netflix, trading stories like contraband. He told me about running from cops in Akron, sleeping in stolen cars. I spilled about the locker room beatings, the way Dad's silence hurt worse than fists. "Family's bullshit," he said one night, passing me a warm beer on the fire escape, city lights twinkling like distant fires. But you and me? We're the real deal. It wasn't just brotherhood. There was a spark, electric and unspoken, in the way his knee brushed mine during movie marathons, or how he'd linger in the bathroom doorway while I shaved, towel slung low on his hips. I caught myself staring at the curve of his jaw, the freckles dusting his nose, heart pounding like a bass drum. Was he? Nah, couldn't be. Ezra chased girls at the bar. Flirty texts from baristas named Kaylee. But there was a hesitation in his swagger, a flicker in his eyes when he'd catch me watching. I buried it deep, terrified of scaring him off. I'd lost everything once. I couldn't lose this fragile thing we'd built. Life in Lakewood was gritty poetry. Mornings of fog rolling off Lake Erie, afternoons dodging potholes on our rusted-out Chevy Cavalier, evenings at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on half-price Tuesdays, pretending we were tourists. I enrolled at Tri-C for graphic design, dreaming of freelance gigs in the big city, while Ezra talked big about enlisting in the Marines. Straighten me out, you know? But enlistment letters piled up unanswered, and his shifts dwindled. Money got tight. We'd pool quarters for gas, stretch ramen with canned tuna. Still, we laughed. God, we laughed. Belting out Springsteen on the radio, windows down, wind whipping our hair like freedom. The first crack came subtle, a hairline fracture in our foundation. Ezra started coming home late, eyes bloodshot, excuses thin as onion skin. Overtime at the store, he'd mutter, collapsing on the couch with a groan. I smelled the lye, acrid chemical like the back alleys behind the methadone clinic on Detroit Avenue. I'd seen it in Foster stories he'd told, the pull of the streets. One night, I waited up, nursing coffee in the dim kitchen light. He stumbled in at dawn, track marks faint on his arm like accusation tattoos. "Easy, talk to me," I pleaded, voice cracking. He slumped against the fridge, head in hands. "It's nothing, Gray. Just pressure. Dad's ghost, Mom's mess. I need to forget sometimes. We fought. Ugly, raw words like knives. You're better than this. We're better," I yelled, tears hot on my cheeks. He fired back. "Easy for you to say, Mr. College Boy. You got dreams. I got demons." But dawn brought apologies. His arms around me in a hug that lingered too long, breath warm on my neck. "Don't leave me, okay? You're all I got." I held him tighter, whispering promises I prayed I could keep. We patched it with a road trip to Cuyahoga Valley, hiking trails where the river ran red from iron ore, sharing a thermos of spiked cocoa. Under the autumn leaves, gold and crimson like spilled blood. He kissed my forehead. Platonic, he said, but my pulse thundered betrayal to my own denial. Winter clamped down hard that year, snow piling like unpaid bills. I landed a freelance gig designing logos for a local brewery, craft IPAs with names like Rust Belt Redemption, and it felt like a lifeline. Ezra tried cleaning up, hitting NA meetings in church basements reeking of stale coffee and regret. We decorated our shoebox apartment with thrift store twinkle lights, strung across the peeling wallpaper like stars we'd stolen from the sky. Christmas Eve, we burned candles on the windowsill, toasting with Boone's Farm to absent parents. "To us," he said, clinking bottles, his gaze holding mine with an intensity that stole my breath. In that moment, vulnerability cracked his armor. "Gray, what if? What if I'm like you? What if the girls don't stick? 'Cause it's all wrong." My heart seized. Was this it? The confession I dreamed of in fevered nights? I reached for his hand, calloused from warehouse work, thumb tracing his knuckles. "Then you're perfect. And I'm here. Always." Our fingers laced, the air thick with unspoken want. But he pulled away, laughing it off as bro vibes. I let it slide, chalking it up to fear, the same fear that had chased me from Ohio soil. But seeds were planted, tender and treacherous. Spring thawed the ice, but not the undercurrents. Ezra's clean streak held, and so did our rhythm. Me sketching at the kitchen table till my eyes burned. Him flipping burgers at a new joint on West 25th, bringing home greasy bags of fries doused in vinegar. We hit the West Side Market on weekends, haggling over pierogies and fresh kielbasa, the air alive with Polish chatter and sizzling sausages. One Saturday, wandering the stalls, he bought me a leather bracelet, simple, braided, with a silver clasp etched, "Brothers." "For the road ahead," he said, buckling it on my wrist, his touch lingering like a promise. Nights deepened our bond. We'd sprawl on the thrift store rug, vinyl spinning on my ancient record player, Dylan crooning like a rolling stone, or Prince wailing about Purple Rain. Ezra opened up about the Fosters. Belts for back talk, nights locked in closets, the hunger that gnawed deeper than empty stomachs. "You saved me, Gray," he'd murmur, head on my shoulder, the weight of him grounding me. I'd stroke his hair, inhaling the scent of his shampoo, citrus and smoke, and whisper back my own scars. The suicide note I'd torn up at 16, the way coming out felt like signing my own death warrant. The romance simmered, veiled in touches and glances. A brush of lips on cheeks after bad days, shared showers to save on the water bill, eyes averted, but pulses racing. I fell hard, irrevocably, scribbling poetry in my sketchbook. Odes to his laugh, sonnets to the dimple in his chin. He was my anchor, my storm, the half of me I'd never known. "Love you, man," he'd say casually, but his eyes burned with something fiercer, unspoken. Then came the letter. It arrived on a muggy July afternoon, envelope crisp as a slap, postmarked from Dad's old address in the holler. Inside, a scrawled note on yellowed notepad. "Found this in your mom's things. Thought you should know." Attached was a birth certificate, mine, but with a footnote, "Father unknown." No, wait, the trucker's name, bold and black, Harlan Ezra Crow. Ezra's full name. Dad wasn't my dad. We weren't half-brothers. We were nothing. Strangers who'd built a castle on sand. I confronted him that evening, paper trembling in my grip as he walked in from shift, grease-stained apron slung over his shoulder. "Ezra, this." His face drained of color, eyes widening like a cornered animal. "Gray, listen." But I cut him off, voice shattering. "How long? Did you know?" He sank to the couch, head in hands. "Since the first message. I needed family. You were it." Betrayal coiled in my gut, hot and vicious. All those nights, those touches. Had they been pity? Performance? We tore into each other, words flaying skin. "You lied. Used me like some sob story." I roared, hurling the letter at his feet. He surged up, eyes wild. "I loved you, you idiot, from the start. But I was scared you'd bolt if you knew the truth." Loved. Past tense? Or present? Fractured? The room spun, our world tilting on its axis. I stormed out, pounding pavement till my lungs burned, collapsing on a bench by the lake, waves lapping like mocking applause. Days blurred into a haze. He left notes. "I'm sorry. Come home." But I crashed at a coworker's, nursing whiskey and wounds. The freelance dried up. Sketches turned to smears of charcoal rage. Ezra texted apologies, voicemails cracking with tears. "We're real, Gray. Blood or not. Please." I wanted to believe. God, how I did. But trust was a shattered mirror, reflecting only shards of doubt. The climax crashed like thunder on a sweltering August night. O'Malley's was packed. Steelworkers drowning shift blues in Miller drafts, jukebox blaring Journey. I'd gone to drown my own sorrows, nursing a Jack and Coke at the scarred oak bar, when Ezra burst in, wild-eyed, collar torn. "Gray, we gotta go now." Behind him, shadows loomed. Tommy Hargrove and his crew, faces twisted in beer-fueled fury. Word had spread, small-town telegraph, about the queer and his fake brother shacking up. Tommy, bulked up from prison ink, busted for meth 2 years back, grabbed Ezra's shoulder. "Heard you're playing house with the fairy. That true, Crow?" Ezra shrugged him off, chin jutted. "Back off, Tommy. Ain't your business." But Tommy laughed, low and mean, shoving him into a table. Bottles shattered. Patrons hooped like it was pay-per-view. I surged forward. "Leave him alone." But a meaty fist clipped my jaw, stars exploding. Chaos erupted. Chairs flying, fists connecting with dull thuds. Ezra fought like a demon, tackling Tommy to the floor, but numbers won. They dragged us outside, into the gravel lot where sodium lamps buzzed like angry hornets. Pinned against the chain-link fence, blood trickling from my split lip, I locked eyes with Ezra across the melee. "Run!" I yelled, but he charged back, pulling a bottle from the trash, swinging wild. It connected crack on a thug's skull, but retaliation came swift. A boot to his ribs, a knee to his gut. He crumpled, gasping, and in that heartbeat, time slowed. Tommy loomed over me, breath reeking of onions and hate. Time to finish what we started, fag. His fist rose, but Ezra lunged, tackling him sideways. They rolled in the dirt, grunts and curses mingling with distant sirens. I scrambled up, hauling Ezra away as cops spilled from cruisers. Someone had called it in. Tommy's crew scattered like roaches. He spat gravel, glaring daggers. This ain't over. But it was for tonight. We stumbled to the Chevy, Ezra wheezing, shirt ripped, bruises blooming like ugly flowers. I drove in silence, Lake Road winding dark and desolate, waves crashing eternal. At a pull-off, engine ticking cool, he broke. I can't lose you, Gray. Lie or not, you're my everything. Tears carved tracks through the grime on his face. I touched his cheek, thumb smearing blood. Then no more secrets. Ever. We kissed then. Fierce, desperate, tasting salt and copper under the harvest moon. No hesitation, no denial. Just us, raw and real, lips crashing like waves on rock. It was fire and forgiveness, the spark igniting into blaze. Hands tangled in hair, breaths mingling. The world narrowed to the stolen shore. When we broke, foreheads pressed, he whispered, I love you, not as brother. This. I nodded, chest aching with joy and terror. Me too. God, easy, me too. But trust, once cracked, leaks shadows. The betrayal I'd forgiven? It was a ghost, whispering doubts in quiet hours. Ezra relapsed that fall. Pills swiped from a bar patron's stash, hidden in his sock drawer like a serpent. I found them during laundry, bottle half empty, heart plummeting. Confrontation in the kitchen, fluorescent buzz mocking us. How could you? After everything, he sobbed. The fight, the fear, it pulls me under. I wanted to rage, to eject him like Dad had me, but love is a stubborn weed, rooting deep in cracked concrete. We clawed toward healing, couples counseling at a free clinic, run by a no-nonsense lesbian therapist named Marla, who chain-smoked menthols outside. Trust is rebuilt brick by brick, boys, or it buries you. Ezra got a sponsor, a grizzled vet named Lou who met him for coffee at the corner bakery, trading war stories for sobriety chips. I designed his NA cards, simple, bold, one day at a time, and we hung them like talismans on the fridge. Yet the past prowled. Dad's letter unearthed more. A lawyer's notice, estate scraps from Mom's side, claiming Ezra as sole heir to a pittance. $5,000 from a forgotten life insurance. It's yours, he insisted, signing it over without blink. Blood money don't mean shit. But it gnawed. Was this another ploy? Redemption or ruse? Winter returned, bitter as black coffee. We moved to a better spot. A one-bedroom in Tremont, artsy enclave with murals splashed on brick walls, galleries hawking iron sculptures of bent spoons. My freelance bloomed. Ezra waitered at a farm-to-table joint, tips fat from hipsters in ironic flannels. Dates became ritual. Picnics in the metroparks, feeding ducks stale bread. Double features at the Capitol, sneaking kisses in the dark. Love settled, comfortable as worn denim. Mornings tangled in sheets, his head on my chest, heartbeats sinking like a lullaby. The true storm hit spring, insidious as April showers. Ezra's phone buzzed constant. Unknown numbers, deleted texts. Work, he'd say, but his eyes skittered. One night, tailing him on instinct, jealousy, paranoia? I found him in a shadowed lot behind the brewery, handing an envelope to a twitchy guy in a hoodie. Tommy Hargrove, out on parole, gaunt as a specter. My blood iced. Drugs? Blackmail? I confronted post-haste. In our kitchen, rain lashing windows like furies. What's his game, Easy? Spill. He deflated, confession spilling like bile. Protection money. Tommy's crew. They know about us. Been shaking me down since the bar fight. Said they'd out us to my job, your clients. Make it hell. The envelope? My designs, swiped from my laptop, proof of fairy art to leverage. Betrayal doubled down. Not just the lie of our blood, but weaponizing my dreams, my coming out wounds. I paid to protect us. He wept, but it rang hollow. Or to bury me again. I packed that night, duffel slung, heart a lead weight. You opened the door to my hell, Ezra, and let it in. He blocked the hall, desperate. Gray, please. I'm clean. I'm trying. It's fear, not me. Fists balled, voices peaked. Accusations flying like shrapnel. You used me from day one. Orphan act, now this? I love you. That's real. But love curdled to ash in my throat. I shoved past, door clicking shut like a coffin lid, thunder applauding my exile. Wandering Cleveland's wet streets, neon blurring in puddles, I crashed at Marla's. Ironic, the therapist's couch. Days bled to weeks. Radio silence from him, my sketches turning abstract storms of blue and black. Clients noticed the edge in my work. Friends, new ones, fragile, urged therapy solo. You're worth more than this cycle, Grayson. Dad called once, slurred from the holler. Heard you're queer for that crow kid. Shame on the bloodline. I hung up, blocking the number, severing the last rotten root. Ezra's messages piled. Please, poems scrawled on napkins. You're my North Star. Even if I dimmed it. Then the call. 2 a.m. Voice wrecked. Tommy jumped me. Warehouse district. Can't breathe. Heart lurching. I raced, tires screaming on I-90, arriving to chaos. Ezra slumped against a loading dock, face pulped, ribs cracked, Tommy's shadow fleeing into fog. Cops swarmed. I held him as paramedics worked, his hand limp in mine. Why'd you come? He rasped, eyes fluttering. Because despite it all, I can't not. Hospital vigil. Beeps and bleach, his body mended slow under fluorescent mercy. When he woke, groggy on morphine, our eyes met. Mine accusatory, his shattered. End it, I said, voice steel. The shakes. Tell the cops everything. He nodded, tears tracking for bruises. For you. Only you. Testimony followed. Ezra ratting the crew. Tommy hauled in chains. The extortion ring crumbling like dry rot. Protection turned to peril's end. Recovery was excavation. Peeling back lies to find the man beneath. We talked. Hours in rehab visiting rooms, windows framing steel skeletons of bridges reborn. I betrayed you, 'cause I feared losing you, he admitted, fingers tracing my bracelet. Faded but unbroken. But losing you? That's death. Forgiveness didn't rush. It crept, tentative as dawn. I moved back, boundaries ironclad. Weekly check-ins, joint accounts for transparency, love earned daily. Summer healed us, lazy and luminous. We road-tripped the Rust Belt. Detroit's murals of Motown ghosts, Pittsburgh's inclines climbing river valleys. Rediscovering each other in dive diners and starlit fields. No grand gestures, just quiet truths. I choose you, every fractured piece. Romance rekindled, chaste and profound. Kisses under fireflies, hands clasped in prayer-like silence. The humanistic turn came autumn, leaves turning like pages in a well-worn book. Dad's final letter arrived. Not hate but halting amends. Cancer's got me, boy. Regrets heavier than tumors. Forgive an old fool. We drove south, Ezra at the wheel, my hand on his thigh. The holler was unchanged. Sagging trailers, rusted silos. But Dad, frail in his recliner, eyes milky, extended a hand. Heard you too. Made it work. Proud, son. Both of ya. Ezra squeezed my knee. Tears fell unashamed. No fairy tale fix. Dad passed a month later, estate dust. But closure bloomed, a quiet grace. Back in Cleveland, we built anew. My design firm took off, Ezra sober 3 years, managing the farm to table. Pride that June, we marched. Rainbow flags whipping in lake wind. His arm around my waist, unashamed. From rejection to this? He murmured, kissing my temple amid cheers. Betrayal scarred, but scars tell stories. Of survival, of love forged in American grit. Looking back, that rainy night with the cuffs? Ezra's fix was desperation's last gasp. A stage drop to bait Tommy. Cops in on it, trust's ultimate test. He confessed post-sentencing, grinning sheepish. Had to prove I'd bleed for us. Punched his arm, laughing through tears. Never again, Crow. Never, he vowed. We're not perfect. Arguments flare like summer storms. Doubts whisper in weak moments. But in this land of reinvention, from Ohio's heartland hollows to Erie's endless blue, we choose each other, daily, fiercely, humanly, and that's the real redemption. Not blood, not perfection, but two souls, battered and bold, writing their own ending.